Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome everyone to this deep dive. Today we're looking through a fascinating set of notes and reflections, all centered on the later journeys of the Apostle Paul.
That's right. And what's really interesting is how these sources bring out a theme that feels, well, incredibly current. The power and really the importance of communication.
Absolutely. So the material kind of picks up after Paul's 2 years under house arrest in Rome, right?
Exactly. He's released and he doesn't waste any time. He's immediately back traveling to places like Crete, Asia Minor, Macedonia, Achaia.
And the mission seems clear from these notes. It's about establishing churches, yes, but also strengthening them.
Precisely. Raising up local leaders, making sure that core message, what the sources often call the mystery, the church is God's kingdom now, before Jesus returns, making sure that continues to spread and mature.
And something that really struck me in these readings is how it wasn't just about Paul dropping in and moving on. There's this strong sense of, ongoing connection.
Yes. Constant communication. Even though these communities were spread out, the sources suggest they were kept strong through, well, pretty immediate contact with each other and with leaders like Paul.
And that communication wasn't just for encouragement, was it? It served a practical purpose.
No, vital one. It was like an early warning system, really. It let believers quickly spot and deal with false teachings or philosophies that were popping up, help them stay grounded.
Almost like an immune system for the early church body, keeping it healthy.
That's a great way to put it. It really creates a stark contrast to when he was under house arrest, totally reliant on others for news.
Right. Now the sources show him traveling personally, and the why seems important to see things firsthand.
Exactly. To assess the situation on the ground, give specific advice to the ministers he'd put in place, and really get a feel for the prevailing culture, the philosophy, the religions, anything that might affect the church.
So he's reading the room, both outside and inside the church, through this constant back and forth.
Helping those churches grow up, become self-sufficient. And the sources even highlight how tough sending a simple letter was back then. Paul writing things like, if I come to see you, or if I'm delayed.
Acknowledging those real communication hurdles.
Yeah. And that really makes you pause, doesn't it? When you think about our world today with literally instantaneous communication.
It does. The sources really push us to be grateful for that, and maybe think about how wisely we're using it.
They definitely drive that point home. And they even float this really thought-provoking historical idea.
You mean the connection to things like the Greek language and Roman roads?
Right. The idea that maybe the spread of Greek is a common language, or the Romans building all those connecting roads in the centuries before Christ. Maybe that wasn't just random history.
The sources suggest these could have been almost providentially prepared, like God setting the stage.
Building a literal highway for the gospel to spread quickly. It's a powerful thought, especially when you draw the parallel to modern things like, say, the internet.
A digital Roman road, in a way.
Could be. But the sources are also very clear that Paul's later journeys weren't some kind of triumphal tour filled with constant miracles.
No, definitely not. They were tough. Storms, challenges.
And real sorrow, too. The notes mention people drifting away, like Demas, who was an early coworker.
Yeah, whether he just couldn't handle the hardship or, as the sources suggest, he kind of fell back in love with the world. It's a reminder that not everyone stays the course.
A sobering point. People can drift towards what feels easier.
So the narrative follows Paul strengthening churches, places like Nicopolis, but then it leads to Rome again.
Yes, and this time it's different. Drawing on accounts like 10 Timothy, the picture is grim. He's imprisoned again, possibly in the Mamertine prison, basically death row.
And his final letter, asking Timothy to come to bring his cloak, his parchments, such small human details in the face of immense hardship.
It paints a stark picture. The difficulties were immense, ending with his martyrdom under Nero, probably around 67 AD.
So the sources really emphasize that his work was about navigating storms, relying on communication and God's direction, not just constant supernatural ease.
Which brings us right back to that core theme and, well, us. Here we are with this incredibly easy, instant communication.
And the sources really pose the question directly, don't they? Are we just using it for convenience, for information, shopping?
Or is it also a channel for something more, for the gospel, for what the sources call holy love, that active, transformative love?
They ask, essentially, will this massive global network, this internet, be left mainly for worldly distraction?
Or will it become a primary channel for God's people to share their message proactively?
It really brings the question to the listener, to you. We have this incredible network, these powerful tools like AI emerging.
Will they just serve worldly ends? Or will they become channels for the gospel, for that holy love? What does answering that call actually look like in your day-to-day life?